Hello viewers, well it's time for our E3 2012 show report. Let's take a look. Okay, so here we are then in sunny LA. It's a lot better than the weather here in London at the moment. We have constant torrential rain. So the show then, all decked out with the huge banners. You can see there all the lucky gamers getting into the show. It's a colourful fest of art and design as these banners are displayed everywhere in the main halls, trying to get your attention, vie for your cash later this year. There's going to be quite a number of releases coming out across all formats, and you can see that this is one of several halls for the main event. This is the South Hall, which is where all the sort of big companies were, if you like, and we're going to pop in there and chat to a few of the developers. Here we are inside. You can see these huge stands they've erected just a couple of days before the event. Games are moved to the show floor literally just before the show opens, giving everybody a first taste of what we're going to be enjoying later this year. But first then, it's Forza Horizon. Let's take a look at this and chat to John Wendell, who will tell us more.
John Wendell, I'm the content director for Turn 10, and we're looking at Forza Horizon.
This is for the ones who care, ignoring all the bad that's been said. This one's for you, no show me inside.
First off, Forza Horizon is an action racer, which means it's built around pick-up and play accessibility, freedom out on the open road, but all built on top of Forza legendary authenticity, so the cars feel, look, and sound incredibly real. So Forza Horizon is about speed, style, and freedom on the open road. We wanted to take Forza Motorsport and broaden it out to the open world, and we set it in Colorado and has hundreds of miles of road to go out and explore and race on and do daring driving, whether you're crashing through barriers and fences or weaving through oncoming traffic, or jumping, or even racing an airplane in one of the showcase challenges. It's thrilling gameplay, all built on Forza authenticity. Yeah, in Forza Horizon, all the cars are customizable, just like you've come to expect from all the Forza games. Body kits, upgradable, you can put liveries on them, and for people who've played Forza 4, you'll even be able to import some of those layer groups into Forza Horizon.
Lights up the sky above. If you're with me now, show me inside.
We are going to have car clubs in Forza Horizon this time around. We're really excited about some of the multiplayer gaming that we're going to have. We're going to be announcing more of that this summer. But if you think about some of the kind of fun playground games that we had in Forza Motorsport, they make even more sense now on the open road based around this music festival. So we're going to be doing a lot more kind of what we're calling playground games, to like cat and mouse, tag, those kind of things out on the open road in multiplayer. It's going to be really cool. Just like with all Forza Motorsport, the car is the star, and handling is key. We go to a lot of great lengths to get our physics just right, particularly our tire physics. And that's really what is so cool about this game, because it's open world, high-speed action, approachable, pick up and play, but it's all built on top of Forza physics and authenticity. The development group in Playground Games over in the UK started with the Forza physics engine and built everything on top of that, so it has all that Forza driving and the feel of the car that you'd love to expect from all of our previous Forza iterations, now out on the open road in a more high-speed, thrilling gaming environment. Again, we're going to have some multiplayer modes around some of the new Playground games and things like that, but we're not talking too much about the other online modes here at E3. We'll be announcing more of that over this summer.
Forza Horizon looking ever impressive there, and I'll have lots of feedback on future videos. It's just a quick look at the show, of course, and here we see the loader, if you like, from Aliens there. People getting the opportunity to climb into one, have a few photos taken. This was for Aliens, Colonial Marines. Again, we hope to cover that on the Team VV Games channel in the next sort of few weeks as well. But first, it's on to another racing game then, a Sonic AllStars Racing Transformed. They've sponsored Danica Patrick for one of our upcoming races, and that's the new blue livery that she'll be sporting rather than the lime green. Let's take a look now at the game in more detail.
My name's Gwilym Hughes. I'm the senior producer for Sega, and this is Sonic and AllStars Racing Transformed. Yeah, basically the big hook is the transformation, which is kind of, as you can probably see, it's got boats and planes now. We've also adjusted the weapons. These are all new in the new game, and we've added a load more different vehicles and IP from various Sega games that are already existing roster. Well, we've got Panzer Dragoon. We've got a nice Panzer Dragoon level on display. We've got a Golden Axe level, and the new characters we've got are Vice from Skies of Arcadia. We've got Gilius from Golden Axe and Joe Musashi from Shinobi. Yeah, these are the ones on display at the moment. There are some more that I wish I could tell you about, but you're going to have to wait and see, unfortunately. Yeah, basically, we've tried to make sure that, as opposed to some previous racing games, that the transformation happens in one track. So you have one track where you can play all different modes, either on a kind of lap by lap basis, or actually in one lap. You might be playing as a boat for one moment, and then change it to a plane and fly through a cave, and then land and race around the track on the kind of car stuff. So it varies where you are, which vehicle at which time. Also, we can make it so that there's choices, so you can go one way and be a boat or another way and be a car, for instance. So there's a lot of strategic elements in who you pick and where you go. We've got online. We can't go into specific details, but we have online. We've got split screen multiplayer. There will be a world tour mode, so there'll be a lot of a nice deep gameplay mode there for people to want to do the kind of single player completion stuff. Yeah, so those are pretty much the main modes we can talk about at the moment, but there's a lot more to come.
So Sonic and All-Stars transformed, looking like good fun so far. Nice to see some of the old characters making a return. It's something we'll be covering later in the year as well. So next up then, Formula 1 2012. Let's take a look at this.
Stephen Hood, Codemasters Formula 1 2012, Creative Director. So for the 2012 game, it's all about, you want a better word than accessibility, but that's really the crux of what we've got here. It's about trying to tell people that Formula 1, yes, it's a complex sport, there's a load of stuff that goes on inside it, but it's not a scary game to play. In real life, actually, there's something called a young drivers test that happens towards the end of the season, where some really lucky guys, like really young kids, 18, 19, 20 years of age, get an opportunity to drive Formula 1 machinery, often for the first time. So there might be superstars in GP2 or other series, and the teams are basically trialling them to see how good they are in the world of Formula 1. Can they cope with the car? Can we introduce them to it slowly? And we've taken that concept and incorporated that into the game. So when you first launch 2012, you're basically taken through the introduction sequence, and then you become the rookie in Formula 1. You're in the garage, this is the first time you're in a Formula 1 car, these are the basic controls, you're asked to do some tutorial style things to get used to the basic concepts of the car, and then you're ready to play the game. You can choose to continue to day 2, which is a bit more complex. You're tested a lot more here, and this is where, depending on how well you do, teams offer you different contracts in the career mode. We've got localized weather now, which sounds pretty cool. It's in the sense of raining in different parts of the circuit. You can finally see the weather clouds moving in. You might be driving around one part of the track and then realise that sector 2 is actually dry. So now people don't change tyres at exactly the same time. You can put a gamble in there now. So it's a lot more realistic in that sense. I mean, there's a lot of new things that we're trying to put in here. One of the things that isn't particularly a new feature, but one that we're quite proud of, is the fact that a lot of people used to buy Formula 1 and think it's for steering wheel users only because the cars are so fast, or they think it's a sim. What we're trying to do is give them a realistic experience, and that needs to come across on the pad as well. So we spent a lot of time working on the control pad in order to try and balance the game. I would like steering wheel users to be able to compete against control pad users and for them not to be able to tell who's using what in the race. It's all about driving consistently, which is what Formula One's about. There's also some more things in there in terms of two big features that we're not mentioning at E3. We're trying to roll this information out a lot slower this time, so when we get to Gamescom in Germany, that's where we're going to mention two huge new features in the game. The handling is all about the input through the control pad this year, like we're trying to sort that out. But what we've also reworked is some of the suspension and the tyre model. And now it sounds kind of geeky, but when it really comes down to it, this is really improving the experience for everybody. Because a lot of people like 2010, and then another group really enjoyed the handling in 2011. So what we tried to do is figure out what kind of components did they enjoy from both. How do we combine those to get a better kind of unified experience? Now you feel as though the car's on the contact with the ground a lot more, rides over the curbs a lot better, feels more consistent. What you want is the car at high speed, feeling as though it's really being pushed down onto the track by downforce, so you can really attack those corners. In 2011 the cars felt a little light at times. We're trying to make them more involving, but 2012 really gives you that feeling of the F1 car. Actually, we were a little bit worried when we were making it. Whenever you're putting a new track in there, you're thinking, especially one as important as the new Circuit of the Americas, Austin, Texas has actually turned out to be a really good track. We're still building it in real life, but obviously we've had the CAD data, all the designs, information from the track designers and Formula One management to understand what the circuit will be about. We're showcasing that at E3. It's actually a really good track to drive. There's some huge straights on there which are great for DRS and the overtaking, but there's some really kind of technical areas as well, where once you've gone through a particular sector you think, if you've managed to nail that, it feels like a real achievement. It's a nice flowing track, and I think people who enjoy that should create a good race. I think the biggest improvement is the fact that it now feels more like a premium game. Like Formula One's such a big sport, there's such a lot of money in that. People recognise some of the driving stars, certainly recognise some of the brands like Ferrari and McLaren. You've got the likes of Lewis Hamilton. We tried to kind of convey that in the game a lot more now. So people are aware of Formula One by watching it on TV. This is a much more cinematic experience. Right from the moment when you launch the game and you go through the introduction sequence and you become that rookie driver, we're trying to teach it, or basically teach the players what it's like to be a Formula One star from the beginning. It represents what you read about in newspapers, in magazines and see on TV. Yeah, a lot of people have said to us maybe some of the cameras should be a lot more like the TV, because again, going back to the fact that people are watching it on TV, they often want to recreate that experience, which is perfectly fair. But in real life, you don't really need to care about frame rate or what you're looking at in real life. They can put the cameras wherever they want. I will say that the cameras this year are a lot more TV style, a lot more broadcast style, and that's actually come across really, really well in the game. Because I think one of the coolest things you can do in the game is do a great race or do a great lap and then watch it back again and feel as though it's being portrayed on TV. So yes.
When I came to Abu Dhabi, I couldn't go to the simulator, so I switched on the video game and I started to play on Abu Dhabi. And actually, it actually worked, because when I got here, I felt like I already driven. It was my first race in GP2, first ever time in GP2, and I won in the first race.
Excellent.
So actually helped.
So F1 2012, we'll no doubt have more on that later in the year. I'm looking forward to hands-on at some point before I comment any further on it, and I'll be giving you guys all my feedback. Of course, you see here the booth babes. They're everywhere at E3, aren't they? They're all over the place. There's loads of people, loads of booth babes, loads of games, and lots of new products on display, being fashionably displayed to everybody there. Interesting. And of course then there's the play seat as well, play seat stand. Nothing new from them that we were shown so far at this E3, but as ever, just showing that they use all of the usual wheels and contraptions that we're used to, as well as some people here not quite getting the hang of Formula One. Feeding the wheel, never the way. But that's enough of that. Let's take a look at Need for Speed Most Wanted. Okay, so next up it's Need for Speed Most Wanted. Obviously we weren't allowed to film this on the stand, so the footage will be much of what you've seen already. But let's speak to Leanne and find out more.
My name's Leanne and I'm a producer at Criterion Games. And Need for Speed Most Wanted. So this is our take on Most Wanted, Criterion's take. At Criterion we're all about friends, social, competition and high scores. So this game really brings that together and drives social competition. We're more about the performance of the car, so we've got bespoke handling for each car, and we really want to make sure that as people drive it, it really feels real. So that's more of, you know, we're more into the performance. So our online multiplayer experience is all about seamless, non-stop gameplay. So we have a playlist that feeds a different variety of game modes, which includes challenges, races, speed traps. So it's non-stop gameplay, so it gives variety and fun.
So a very brief Need for Speed report there. Leanne was very quick with it, not a great deal of details, weren't allowed to film anything on the show floor, some people were, we weren't. At the moment it's very early to say, isn't it? The game's very early indeed. Most Wanted was a good game, but let's remember Most Wanted when it came out was not great. It was a bit rushed, the graphics weren't all they should have been. I don't think there's ever been a Need for Speed game that they've actually, in recent times, they've actually really taken the time over and been able to absolutely perfect. So we'll be following more of that later in the year, but certainly there's potential there. Criterion, let's see what they can pull out the bag. But for the show then, not a great deal of racing stuff. We'll be having another show report in the coming days where I give my reflection on the press conferences and other sort of details about the show, and my reflection on racing games at the moment as well. So you can see these little links here. Obviously there's the Forza Horizon video, Need for Speed, the official gameplay, and of course our Sonic gameplay, which may or may not be up by the time you're looking at this video. But that's it from me for now, viewers. As ever, there'll be more news and reflection all very soon.